Good evening. I'm Drew Oberturkey, Executive Director of the Riverside Art Museum, and on behalf of the Board of Trustees and staff, thank you so much for being here tonight. This is amazing to work with Harki and all of his talented friends for this this evening of music and poetry. Tonight benefits our Creative Horizons program, which brings 8 to 12 weeks of art programming to justice-involved youth. So that's youth who are incarcerated in juvenile hall or youth who are on probation. So the youth who are on probation actually come here every Saturday and learn art fundamentals, drawing, painting, sculpting. It's a new way for them to express themselves and their emotions. They also collaboratively design a mural, so they learn teamwork. The mural that is on Lime Street, right here on the side of the museum, was done by a Corona gang resistance and intervention program. So we thank you so much for your support. I'd like to introduce Mike Hestron, our district attorney, who's here this evening. His support and his office's support has been so integral for the Riverside Art Museum. We recently received a grant from the County of Riverside to continue this program for 1 more year, and we're very excited. However, it does not bring funding into the juvenile facilities, so tonight's event will help make that possible. With that said, please bid on the silent auction items. We have piano lessons with Alpin. We have a poetry reading with Harki. And all of the art and the books will be for sale. So with no other ado, no more, we'll move on, it's been a long day. One thing, you guys are sitting on an old pool. This was a Julia Morgan designed building, and this was the pool. So we have acoustic panels up here, but the sound isn't great because it's an old pool. So we had to turn the air conditioning off. I'm gonna run a contest over who can make the most creative fan out of their program. So I should hurry up so that we can get this going. So it is my pleasure to introduce Harki, and California Poet Laureate Juan Felipe Herrera wrote this when he was the California Poet Laureate. He is now the US Poet Laureate. And this is what he says of Harki's poetry. Harki writes with the pen of Hafiz, the contemplations of Tagore. Dhillon's poems flow in and out of the incredible arc of life and time and into the heart of it all, a magnificent collection of verse. So further ado, it's my honor to welcome Harki Dhillon to the stage.
Thank you, Drew. Since we've been or are in a pool, we shall pool our creative resources. Thank you. Oh, thank you. I think that was so bad that Drew thought I needed some water. So. Thanks, Drew. So how are you all feeling? Just going to say a couple of things before we start the poetry. What I'd like you to do, hey, Colette, how are you doing? Colette doesn't say hello. Worries and troubles and tribulations of the world are always on our shoulders and our minds. So today, we switch them off right here. So when people tell you close your eyes, I don't do that because people go to sleep. So don't close your eyes, but just relax. It'll be a nice little journey. So thank you, Drew. It's been a great pleasure working with you and Valerie to put this event together for the museum and for the children of the Creative Horizons program. Your enthusiastic reception for the proposal for this evening made it so much easier. It's so nice when people say, yeah, I like that idea, instead of saying, what are you talking about? But that was really nice, and thank you. So I launched my first book, Invisible Hands, in the room down there where Amy has claimed her kingdom. And, and what a beautiful exhibition for her mom. That was wonderful. And so for Misty Darkness, my second book, we are in this room. So I have since then literally come up in the world by 6 feet, 7 feet, 8 feet. So, and a great big thank you to the Riverside Medical Clinic, Steve and Ruth Ann. Thank you. Thank you so much for the sponsorship. What makes people tick? That was the burning question. Whatever emotions, feelings, sentiments I feel, they come out in words, where Priya, Vaishali, and Avika see it in art. Painstaking, beautiful, and visual construction in form and color. Alpin, on the other hand, lives and breathes music and is a wonderful presence on stage, as you shall soon experience. So, it was wonderful when they all agreed to interpret my poems in their medium of art and music. So we'll start with some of the poems, just to get you into the flow. I'm just going to read from both books, and we'll go in and out without a particular theme, except that it is poetry, it comes from the heart. And just enjoy it, and then we'll bring it down to focus more on the art and the music, and they'll come and explain when they come here. So, just going to start with where it started, with Invisible Hands. And this was interesting. I was driving down to Parkview Hospital for surgery, and it was on that Jackson Road with Magnolia. They have those palm trees. And literally in front of me on this beautiful California morning, palm frond detached and came down to earth. And I don't know why, but it just gave me a kick in my guts, literally, and made me write this before I started surgery. But I did do the surgery. I saw the palm frond fall. I saw the palm frond fall through the clear blue sky, its graceful descent cushioned by the invisible hands of the gentle breeze. It hits the asphalt and rocks into stillness. Its final moment lasts but a second, shattered by the great big wheels of the SUV, crushing it into its final remains. Obliterated by the rushing sedans, and finally, respectfully, encouraged into the gutter by the same gentle breeze that helped to give grace to a final moment before eternity. Hi, how you doing? That's good, thanks, it gave a nice pause. My empty heart. As you lie on me, your lips inches away from mine, the comfort of your weight, all skin, drives away my fears of being alone. My empty heart fills with love, a pulsating force carrying with it the essential rhythm of life. My arms want to crush you. Instead, my fingers play a caressing game on your back. Your searching eyes look into my soul. Will you be mine, and I yours, for all eternity? Say yes, say yes, say yes, my love. You, carrying on the same thing, I got kind of excited with this. So. You touched your body so many times in different ways, in different places. Touched your soul and touched your mind, touched your heart, felt alive and exhilarated, felt high, felt low, felt warm, aglow, felt my heart beat, felt your lips, felt your breath, felt safe in your embrace. And then when sometimes things go wrong and you've had enough, the title of this poem is Enough. Are you in the lagoon, having passed through stormy seas? Do you feel drained with hope, a struggling flame deep within? To search for happiness, to search for a kindred soul, to search for comfort and companionship, and maybe love. To shed the cloak of bitterness with its tendrils wrapped around each emotional fiber, to purge regret and spring to freedom, to breathe sweet air without the grip of sadness, the crushing force released, to remember with courage the moment you cried enough. So this is gets to the emotional part. And we all love our children. I have 2 daughters, and I'm sure folks have daughters and sons, but they're for everyone, they're for kids. This is entitled My Daughter. I have looked upon and adored this face for all these years. She usually says, "Sure, Dad, I know." The addition of her life, her energy, her laugh, her silences to mine has forever completed the purpose of my existence. Every moment of togetherness shared is a ray of sunshine to a starving soul. It is the quantum of strength that builds the core to overcome most of what life throws at me. And now jumping to the violence of the world. And this was, interestingly, on the same road going away from Parkview. So that's like a vortex. It's a hub of things happening. It's called The Arrest. The expanse of maroon roofs, congealed in the heat and glare of the afternoon sun, slowly emerge as distinct homes bathed in the light of the evening sun. The cool, clean air now breaks the lethargy. People and dogs appear, ambulating aimlessly in between enthusiastic sprinklers that proudly exhibit golden drops of dancing water, color added by the bright blue and red lights of a police cruiser, showing an arrest in progress. Red backpack on the thin shoulders of a young black boy sitting on his haunches, looking at the tight brown uniform on the strong white man with a big black gun. This is when we go to Laguna Beach and stop in Irvine Spectrum, and strange things happen to you there. But I encourage it. Good things happen. I suck the salt. I suck the salt. My tongue plays with the ice. My head tilts far back as the last drops of the margarita trickle down my throat. The things are feeling pretty good. My eyes close against the dim light and the cacophony of sound from 100 mouths as the image of your breast brands my drunken eyelid. Is somebody keeping time? Are we okay? The folded pages of the past. In my wayward, ill-spent youth, we used to do a lot of hunting. Sorry, Trev. I was young, okay, so things happen. So we used to go hunting on the farms with tractors and searchlights and strange things and kill. But this is the folded pages of the past, how sometimes memories come flooding. I fly back on the wings of memories to the night with the hunter's moon and my youth. The cold wooden stock of the gun and its cold metal barrel rests comfortably in my gloved hands. Mist from my breath mingles with the mist from the river. I hear the rustling of the tall sugar cane, a menacing contrast to the silent, subservient wheat field. The bundled silhouettes of family and friends huddled against the cold, many now lost in the folded pages of the past. A bitterly cold night brings back a warm, fuzzy feeling. Young as I was then, I felt what it might feel to be a man. Hi, Kristen, darling. How are you doing? Can I recognize my good friend Kristen Tillquist, who actually spent a lot of time reviewing Misty Darkness Thanks so much, Kristen. Grab a seat. If you want to learn how to make an entrance, the lady in red. So this is the beach, but the title is Tivas in the Tide. The shimmering waves, silver, in the expanse of blue, seaweed, sand, and surf, beer and vodka. I really don't drink that much. This just happens. Beer and vodka, chips and salsa, waiters in black of different hues, tivas in the tide, children on the slide, lovers hand in hand, the setting sun, hesitant steps, toes wiggling in the trickling sand, a lingering kiss, a happy smile, tinged with sadness that will last a while, unable to share or write or send a message to a friend. So, Alpin, how are we doing? Okay, that usually means one more, right? Okay, no, I know. Okay, I'll finish with this, and then we'll go on to the other part of the program. I think you've all got the programs which you can use as fans. No, you don't make a sound with the fan. Anyway, sorry. Here it is, last one. I had imagined the world full of laughter, but people got in the way. I had imagined the world full of love, but egos got in the way. I had imagined the world full of friends, but race and religion got in the way. I've been in the world a while now. I try and hang on to my sanity with hope, but life gets in the way. Thank you. Thank you. So, as per our program, this poem, and somewhere along the line, I think Priya did this, read and kind of classified the poems, and that was like amazing. But she Alpin, somebody did it. The great energy from above, somewhere. So this is about birth, childhood, and innocence. Seriously, there's some chair seats over here. You want to come? Come. Come on in. Alpin, would you like to come and let me just read this, and then we'll have the piece. My little one. So while we're just settling down, I saw Alpin perform at a TEDS, it's TEDS program, TED, CET. TED is talking also in orthopedics, but that's another thing. But at a TED program at La Sierra. And I went there and I was completely blown away. I knew he was good, but how good I found out. And I'm so happy to know that you will share this experience today. My little one. Again, it's, with the kids, how they grab onto you when they're young, and you are the absolute last refuge and sustenance and everything, the center of their universe. But somewhere along the line, things change. Fortunately, slowly, but they do, huh? You're telling me. What is in store for you, my little one? A lifetime ahead of you, and less than half of mine, maybe. You are so protected with the anxiety of love and the warm embrace of hope for you to grow and prosper and learn and maybe to return the love you take for granted. Your first step on your own, a milestone, the steps that will take you away from me, even though now you run towards me with arms outstretched. You hang on to my leg with desperation as you peek at the stranger, a curiosity so intense that it will take you away one day to live with a stranger you make your own. You listen to stories every night so you can sleep with dreams that make you squirm with delight. You question and you believe. How long will that last? The first pangs of hunger turns your face to your mother's breast, and after you sleep satisfied. A simple need, simply given. These moments so intense for me, none of which you remember, none of which you can hold dear. You build your memory bank of happiness, hoping the years will compound the interest. Memories that you relate to, those who will listen, and those who will value your life. Alvin.
Thank you. Before I perform this piece, I wanted to just introduce myself a little bit and tell you what inspired me to play this piece along with Harki's poem. My name is Alpin Hong, and I may be one of Riverside's newest residents. My wife and I moved here just not much more than a year ago. She works at the Riverside Medical Clinic. This is one of the very first pieces I was aware of when I was a child. My mother had a songbook right next to our little upright piano at home. And it was one of those big note songbooks that you give your kids when they're just learning how to play with the big notes. They have the letters inside, C, B, A. And I didn't really know much about the music. My mother would play this through, especially this one piece. And except there was an artist on the cover. And I didn't know who it was, but I remember thinking when I was a child, wow, that guy is so shiny. I later learned this artist, who goes by the name of Liberace. For those of you that know, Liberace was one of the great entertainers of the last century. He was known for his extravagance. I remember a time I saw him on the Muppets, where he was being interviewed by Kermit the Frog. And at one point he turns and as you remember, he had all these enormous rings on every finger, just enormous. And he turns toward the camera and he looks at us, he says, "You like these rings? Well, you should. You bought them for me." I remember looking there, who is this guy? And through the magic of YouTube and the internet, I've learned more about him to know that even behind all the glitz and the glamour, he was at heart a monster pianist. And so I would like to play one of his calling cards, Malagueña by Ernesto Lecuona.
Can I have the sound person, please? Sound. I've been deconstructed. Sorry, thanks. I just got up and it fell off. Thanks so much. Thank you. Wasn't that amazing? Lot more to come. The next is growth. I grew a lot. Maturity, didn't get there. Romantic, little touch, erotic, meh, love. Anyway, I'll say that again. Growth, maturity, romantic, erotic, love. This is our next segment. And the poem that interestingly we kind of all chose, again, it's what I think, what they think, what he performs, and coming to that in what really makes you want to do that together was like an amazing thing. So this is Torment. And interpreting torment through art will be with Priya, and that is what she drew for the poem. That's the work over here, which is quite amazing, but let me read this for you. Torment. Let the sun scorch my skin so it feels cool after your touch. Let the snowfall be heavy and silent as it drifts onto my upturned face, so I can focus on your essence deep within me. Let the monsoon rains drench the land and bring the fresh, damp smell of steaming earth to my nostrils as I walk barefoot in my sodden and dripping clothes. Darkness in the day, thunder and lightning all bringing together the vision of your dark hair and eyelashes, your lithe and sinuous form exposed by your brilliant smile, all sound now drowned by the beating of my heart. I stand on the mountain, the wind whipping my clothes, my hair, my skin, my eyes. Cleansing tears flow freely. Your memory lifts me higher, beyond the summit. I cannot escape your presence. I cannot escape you. Let me come home into your arms, your heart, your being. Torment me no more. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that incredible reading. I am so grateful to be here among you in this space of collaboration with all of you and my luminous co-presenters. My name's Priya, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the process of collaboration between poetry and art. And if you bear with me, I will get there, I promise. But I'm going to start by just talking a little bit about the relationship between the text and between art. And so in my past life, I was an academic, and working on my dissertation, I spent a lot of time reading, and I read novels, and I read journals, and I read every piece of material available to me about British India, the British Empire, and the Indian views of the British in India. And I hunted and hunted and hunted for images, because this material is so rich and it kind of conjures images in your mind as you read, but there's very little in terms of visual information in the 19th century texts. What images there are either print advertisements housed in the British Library, and if you've ever been there, it's impossible to get your hands on things, and they're really old copiers that don't make good copies. So I don't know if it's worth the trip out there. And the other paintings and small drawings are usually at the Victoria Albert Museum, also in London. So I kind of felt a dearth of images, and we've talked about this in class. Some of my former students are here, and I'm so thankful to them for being here. And so I feel that the text almost not only demands images, it doesn't always demand images, but it produces them, right? As we read, we have fragments of what we're reading, how we understand what we're reading in our imagination. And most of the time, those fragments stay in our imagination. We have an idea in our head of what a character looks like, right, or what a scene looks like, but we're forced to have that only in our imagination. Sometimes, if we're lucky, an artist will kind of produce their interpretation of those imagined images for us. Or if we're really lucky, we get a chance to do that ourselves. So I feel very grateful that I had a chance to kind of sit down with Harki's poetry and produce my interpretation of the images that it conjured as I read. I wanted to kind of talk about poetry and art specifically. So I think, in a way, poetry and art are deeply related. Both are intimate representations of the artist's deepest feelings. And so I was very much thinking about the way in which the creative impetus actually comes not always when we're happy, but sometimes from the darker emotions that we don't get to share on a daily basis. And in the readings that we did in class, we talked a lot about the way in which our society today kind of asks us to put away those feelings and the sadness or anger, anguish, right? These are things that we're told to either fix, but if we can't fix them, we need to hide them and put on a smile and be happy. But it's often when we spend a little time with those uncomfortable emotions, the emotions that we don't always want to face, that we actually find that creativity kind of blossoms because we need a way to get it out. And what I love about Harki's poetry is that despite his incredibly affable and jovial nature, he's able to gain access in his poetry to those kind of deeper, darker, melancholic, tortured feelings and stay with them a moment and offer them to us with words. And so I think that was the reason why torment, I said immediately I want to work on torment. Nobody else better take that from me. Sorry, Vishali and Avika. But I knew that's what I wanted to work on because it spends time in a place that we don't always get to spend time in. And that is a space of torture, right? Tortured emotion, of desire that is not kind of could not fit into a romantic narrative necessarily, but a desire that is given, even though we don't know if it will be returned. And I think there's a kind of poignancy and perverse beauty in that spending time in that moment. It's often when you're in pain and anguish that, in fact, you're most alive, because you can feel so deeply. And so that is what I wanted to kind of capture in my interpretation of Harki's incredible, beautiful, sad poem of Torment. And I kind of took the liberty, which good poetry allows us to do, to kind of imagine the narrator separately from the author. And I imagined a woman who is kind of in that space of torment and torture. She stands on the mountain with the wind whipping her clothes, her hair, her skin, and her eyes, and she is immune to all of that and calls out to her beloved, even though she is uncertain whether her beloved will return her call. And just wanted to kind of spend time in that moment, the way we're spending time here together today. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Can I borrow a copy of, I think Gentle Waltz is also in here too, right? I just wanted to read Gentle Waltz. Oh, here it is. Yes, perfect. I've got it. Yep. Thank you very much, Priya. That creative impulse and interpretation is exactly the way that I approach when trying to pair the music with Harki's poetry. As she said before, it gives us the license, fortunately, to interpret what his emotions might have been, who is the voice of who is being expressed. I felt like that poem and this poem that I'm about to read for you, The Gentle Waltz, speaks very well to the mind of a composer who was perhaps the most romantic composer of the late 19th and early 20th century, Sergei Rachmaninoff. Rachmaninoff, of course, known for some of the most legendary piano pieces and a superstar pianist in his own right. What's less well known about him was that his love life was very turbulent. He was betrothed to at least 4 separate times to women that his family, Russian aristocracy, denied him from marrying. So there was a sense, certainly in his younger days, of this sense of incompleteness that he was trying to express in his music. As Victor Hugo says, music expresses that which cannot be expressed in words. This waltz, the gentle waltz. The woman tripped along, her heart full of song, a lazy smile on her lips and a graceful wiggle to her hips. Golden light bathed the countryside, vanishing dewdrops glittered before they died. She saw the welcoming meadow with the white wooden gate. She hurried through it, a trifle late. He lay amongst the flowers waiting for her, blue eyes drinking blue sky, fingers flitting over the petals, fingers stroking the stems. He sensed her presence and rose like life itself from Mother Earth. She ran into the arms of her beau, crushed in his embrace, declaration of love coming at a fevered pace, her body arching to his, fingertips wandering to undo her lace. Spent, they drifted above in a gentle waltz, their bodies entwined in a cocoon of love. And now, ladies and gentlemen, Liebesleid, translated as Love Sorrow, by Sergei Rachmaninoff.
You know, my greatest insecurity in life is when I get up, I can't find my glasses. And the whole world dissolves in a blur, and that's the end of life, right? And we have light. Okay. So now we move on to something that is inevitable and the darker moment of our life. And this is somebody's. Is that Priya's? I'll just keep it here. The phone? That's all right? Yeah. I'll answer it if it rings. No. So this is about death, loss, and despair. And with a little... Yeah, with a little liberty, I am adding just one more poem to this section. It kind of still will, I think, continue in the same thing that you're going to play afterwards. This is, like I said, Death, Loss, Despair, poem's title, Anguish. And you heard the word from Priya, also the anguish that comes out. I hold your hand in desperation as I watch and feel you slip away. The memory of cold fingers and warm heart, bittersweet. The floor slips away, leaving me weightless, suspended, rudderless. I keel over. You have gone, waiting for the flames to consume you, and I wait, cold as ice, looking at the darkness over the horizon. Will the sun ever shine again? Will a warm breeze break the icicles of fear and loneliness? Will I ever feel complete? You come to me in my dreams to calm my restless cries, muffled by the pillow, crushed within my fetal form. Only time will deliver me from this anguish and this emptiness. And then, as per program, the funeral. A raven cries a note of anguish, a myna her cry of despair, a pigeon coos, mourning a lost love. I am silent and empty, all feeling wrenched away into a void, leaving a void so deep and so dark. The cold, forbidding stainless steel doors open, reveal the flames roaring, waiting, competing with the silent anguish and the deafening chant of those left behind. Belief, faith, love, and looming loneliness bid a farewell, which nobody should have to. The hesitant yet final turn away from the now closed doors, stumbling with grief on numb legs barely supporting numb mind and numb body, helped by a caring, compassionate circle of family and friends, providing a crutch which will have to be discarded, and life will have to go on, never the same, never. Thank you. So, enlightenment, still waiting for it, desperately, it's coming. Self-reflection, hope, and universality. This is a poem called Insignificance. And I think we all probably go through this when we see ourselves as amazingly smart human beings, but sometimes we put ourselves in our own perspective of the universe and feel a little insignificant. So this will be followed by interpreting the insignificance through art by Vaishali and then by Alpin. Insignificance. The depth of the cosmos, the infinity of space, the infinitesimal scale of us related to the universe. Yet, we exist unfazed by the size of our imagination and ego and the depths of our emotion, the power of our love and our hate, the foundations of our existence, unstable in the insecurity of our psyche, held together with the promise of divine love. The freedom from barriers that encompass deeply held feelings, coming from a focus of complete trust without fear of rejection and ridicule. The ability to say the name in silence, in one's heart, or shouted with abandon to the millions. What else could fulfill this need except the concept and belief in a supreme being? What else could invoke this commitment while making one better in one's soul for a reward in the afterlife that compensates for the fear of one's demise? Vaishali?
Hello, everyone. I'm Vaishali Saste, and I want to thank you all for being here and supporting us. Personally, I want to thank Dr. Dhillon for putting up this program and giving me a chance to bring my art here. When it was time for us to choose the poem to interpret with our art, I was instantly drawn towards insignificance. Because I feel that this poem is very closely related to my heart in my profession, in my daily life. I'm an oncologist, and I deal with life and death every day. And when most of my patients are at the end of the rope, I sit there and I think, what is the meaning of us? What is the purpose of us? What are we doing here? And I find that we focus so much on small things in our life that we forget, or we tend to forget, that there is so much beyond us, so much beyond this universe. And without our faith or our belief, we are completely lost. And I believe that we all need this enlightenment to find the meaning and the purpose of our life. And that's my interpretation of the poem Insignificance for all of you. Thank you. I don't have, I hope you all can see it, but it's basically, meditation, and the lotus is the significance of, or it is basically, it signifies enlightenment. And as you can see, us as a human being and the universe and the cosmos around us being the, the much more and the beyond of, beyond ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you. Before I perform my last piece, I wanted to speak to how powerful art is and the fact that Vaishali and I arrived at basically the same image without ever having discussed it once. When she chose to portray the emotions and the vision of insignificance, when I was thinking of a piece that seemed like forever to me, I also thought of celestial bodies. And in my particular case, I chose this next piece, Moonlight, better known as Clair de Lune, by Debussy. This piece, you may not know, is part of a suite called the Suite de Bergamasque, which was inspired by a set of poems by the French poet Paul Verlaine. And strangely, in reading Harki's poetry, I found many parallels with what the Impressionists were trying to say, to give form to emotions and thoughts and longings that could not be expressed only through perhaps words alone or even through pictures. And so the Impressionists, through music, were trying to give a sense of the infinite. And so I wanted to read you the poem that I was actually read and taught by my teacher when I brought this piece in for a lesson. And Harki, this could have been written by you. Your soul is a chosen landscape where charming masqueraders and burgomaskers go, playing the lute and dancing and almost sad beneath their fanciful disguises. All sing in a minor key of victorious love and the opportune life. They do not seem to believe in their happiness, and their song mingles with the moonlight, with the still moonlight, sad and beautiful, that sets the birds dreaming in the trees and the fountains sobbing in ecstasy, the tall, slender fountains among marble statues. Ladies and gentlemen, Clair de Lune by Claude Debussy.
I never knew you had the power of stretching a note with your finger. I mean, I was wondering how that was happening. That was pretty cool. Thank you. Okay, so Alpin misspoke. That wasn't his last piece. He's going to go right to the bitter end. So we have him here. So the next poem is The Mirror, and the art interpretation has been done by Avika. Very proud to say, my daughter. Where is she? Hi, Av. You can come and hang out. Thanks. Yeah, sometimes it's not like I spend too much time in front of the mirror, but thanks. But sometimes when you see your own reflection, it scares the out of you, since we don't have the beep. And again, it's flashing thoughts. Future, we have no idea where we're going and what's going to happen to us. The past is pretty clear, but sometimes thoughts disappear. Wow, that rhymes. And this is something that kind of really hit me, because when I look in the mirror and I see the past, the present, and the future all rolled up in one, it's a kind of disturbing sensation. But Avika will take you more through it, and I think Alpin will give us his interpretation. So the mirror. I look in the mirror and see not my image, but the shell of memories stretching into the moment of my birth. For that is where it begins, showing how very finite I am. I bounce back into my reflection and cannot see my future. I marvel at my mind as it catches me in the present. I look ahead and see my finite end. I hastily return to a life that speedily moves towards oblivion.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. So this poem really caught my eye, and the reason I suppose it did that is, Dr. Dhillon is my father, so I know him pretty well. I mean, a little bit more than most people. And I guess that what really caught my attention was the idea of how you're more than just what you look like. You might see, an old person on the street, or a young boy, or a young girl, but you don't really know who they are or what they've been through. And no one really knows that better than yourself. But sometimes that idea can scare you. You can look into your reflection and then you'll realize, is that really who I am? And I wanted to express that using, a lot of ink. And that was just really what was going through my mind as I was drawing this and showing how there's more than one part to yourself, and it can combine in so many ways. And it's really, you yourself are almost like a work of art, and everything is open to interpretation. So that's where I'd like to end it. Thank you so much.
Makes me proud. So the conclusion, all good things come to an end, I suppose. There will be a Q&A discussion, throwing of tomatoes, cheering, rousing stuff, just let yourself go. So one poem to end from each book. This is called Surgery. Before I grew up and became an orthopedic surgeon, I was a general surgeon. Sorry, Tom. Is Tom there? Yes. And this is from the day that I did start surgery. And it's always been with me on how amazing I feel when I do surgery. Hands move in controlled ecstasy, immersed in nature's beauty gone wrong. The depths are exposed, illuminated by artificial light and the wisdom of years. The dance of the fingers, choreographed by experience, synchronous with the aim of initiating a cure of a malady inflicting this unfortunate body. And on a completely different side from misty darkness is intentions. I see your lips red, cheeks pinched, sucking on a straw, clogged with chocolate shake as thick as freshly made concrete. Black nails and black dress crying out an indifference to all but yourself. Your creamy cleavage taunting and remote, your dark eyes piercing, looking for an answer I cannot give. Your long eyelashes mesmerizing, the proud burger dies from neglect. The fries secure in their latticework hold the copious layers of ketchup. My knee touches yours. You do not flinch or move. Your silence is not awkward. My intention is. I like a snare. We leave fries untouched. Thank you. Thanks very much. Thank you. Again, I'd really like to thank the Riverside Art Museum and the team, Drew's team, and I thank you so much. We kept pushing stuff at you, and you never batted an eyelid and helped us. Thank you so much. Well, here's the team. Don't hold back. Thank you. Thank you. Very nice. Thank you.
Standing ovation.
Thank you. Thank you. Questions?
I think we wanted to open up the floor at the very end. This is usually don't get the chance to ask the artists about their art, and we wanted to just leave a few minutes. You know it's very warm. Thank you so much for being with us through this. But yes, this is the time to ask us anything about anything.
To see the smile on your face, Kale. No, it's the well. There's a well in all of us which is full of goodness or not. Sometimes it fills to the top and overflows. Sometimes you find the egress to the world outside. Sometimes you want to share it, sometimes you don't. So I think it's a combination of what reaches out and whether you want to. I think I have the faith in humanity, and I don't feel insecure in sharing what I feel because I know there is goodness there. So it just happens, and I think when it does, we should all let go and do it.
How did you trust us?
So I'm sorry?
What confidence did you have in
gosh,
them?
gosh. Yeah, what confidence? You know, this is a small Facebook miracle. So Vaishali and I are FB friends. She doesn't acknowledge it publicly, but we do. And I saw her art there for the first time, and I kind of said, wow. I met Alpin when they came, Piali and Alpin came to Riverside, and I saw his exuberance and his need for perfection and his desire to perform. I mean, this was a no-brainer. You know, I've seen Avika do this work sitting in her room for hours and working on it. Priya, we talked about stuff, and then she showed me her work, and you can see that. So, oh my goodness, no, it's an honor for me. There is absolutely no question that they would do something way beyond my own imagination. No, that's.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Just to repeat the question.
Yes, he was asking me, I have so many pieces. I'm sorry. I have so many pieces. How did I narrow down the selection for tonight? Well, as it goes for all my programming, first of all, my first consideration was time, knowing that the air conditioning would only last for so long before it automatically turned on. So, and we actually timed it perfectly. Yeah. It just came back on. But seriously, when it came to interpreting Harki's poems, the first thing I did is I tried to find pieces that had been inspired by poetry themselves. I thought that was a good place to start. Whereas that's how I came up with Clair de Lune and Leibeslight by Rachmaninoff. Then I chose composers that I felt had experienced a type of emotional turmoil that he was describing in his life, the different stages of life that they, in their compositions, also advanced similarly at the same time. So that's really where it came down to, and I'm really glad it worked out. I didn't know it was going to work out until tonight. So thank you.
The origins of inspiration for enlightenment, yes?
This piece.
Oh, for that piece, basically, as I explained, the lotus flower basically it signifies enlightenment, and the poem itself basically describes you as a human and your thinking basically as, you know, the purpose of life, and, you know, that there is so much beyond this life, and you know, you are so small in front of the universe, and that's how all the elements in the drawing are put together.
Actually, I'd like to add to that. When I see it, apart from what Vaishali is saying, the human form in the lotus position also is floating, and there seems to this whirl of energy which is controlling that human being, and it's a kind of a drifting body as a celestial body. It doesn't seem to be anchored. So I kind of read into that also of how we can be floating in the universe with purpose or without. So it's a big, powerful statement of how we go around. That's just my feeling. I don't know. Really. I know he did a great job, but... How much of the artist's, the non-pianist's life is involved in
practice?
We'll go from here to here. Go ahead.
Good evening. So I think that when it comes down to art, the more you do, the better you get. But sometimes in our very busy lives, that's very difficult. So as a student, I mean, I find myself doodling in my notebook for, you know, math class, or for, you know, not necessarily like, you know, intense practice, but then when I actually put my mind to it and really focused on what I wanted to create, it came out far better than maybe if I hadn't done a little bit every day, you know. So that's what it is for me.
Well, for me, I basically do it as I find time. This is kind of my sanctuary. This is my world, like doing what I do every day, coming home, keeping my profession at work, and then trying to find myself. You know, this is my release. This is my vent off. So whenever I get time, I do it.
Thanks. That's a terrific question and forces us to kind of think about our own process. I grew up drawing all the time. When I was a professor, I would write on the whiteboard all the time. Like that was just how I thought, right? And we would use the whiteboard and we would draw. And so all of a sudden, after 20 years of not drawing, I had a chance to do it. It kind of came pouring out. And so I think it's almost holistic, right? You're kind of living your life and you're taking in all of these inspirations. You're doing your research sometimes without even thinking about it. And for me, I feel similar to Avika and Vishali. I can't sit and do a little every day. It just kind of, all of a sudden it's bubbling up and you wake up and you think, I need to draw a woman standing like this, or, you know, and then you just draw. And my kids have to put up with me drawing for hours and hours because I have to like get it out on paper.
But if I can direct that question and you can plug your ears for Alpin, can you also maybe tell us how you do it?
Oh.
She's plugging it.
I just wanted to speak to my amazement too, because this is my job. I actually do this, so my taxes are paid by doing this. But you know, it's funny, the whole act of creation. I once asked my teacher whether or not, this is my professor at Juilliard, and I asked him whether or not I should compose or not. That used to be an art, all performers used to compose. I said, should I compose? And he answered, well, Mr. Hong, if you are a composer, then you have to compose. It is not a choice. And I felt that spoke very well to the artists because they don't have to do this, you know, for their livelihood, but they have to do it for something that is perhaps even more important and drives them and wakes them up in the middle of the night, I imagine. And so one thing I wanted to speak to while I just have the mic for a second, I just wanted, first of all, to thank the board and trustees of the Riverside Art Museum for hosting us tonight, but also the proceeds for tonight's event is going to their Creative Horizons program, which is, as mentioned before, but I just want to remind you all that this is going to provide the arts to an underprivileged youth population. For myself in my own life, and I'm sure for everyone up here, our lives are made richer by arts, not because we're necessarily artists by trade, but it gives us a method of expression that enriches us and makes us better oncologists, surgeons, doctors, students, and even pianists, husbands, fathers, daughters, wives. And so that's why I think the meaning of what this has done tonight and your support means so much. Not just thank you for the applause you've given to us directly, but hopefully through us we can be a conduit for providing this experience to all those young people in the Riverside area that deserve it. So thank you so much for supporting us in that way. I really appreciate it.
We're a little oh, yes, yes. Thank you. Yes.
Oh, for me? Okay. So my current plan for my artwork is to keep making it. And I suppose I just want to see where it goes from there. Because in order to truly know what you want to do, you have to have enough of it. So I think that's my general plan at this moment, is to just keep trying and keep pushing, and then we'll see what happens.
If you have any suggestions, because as parents, we keep wondering where should we take her, who's the artist who can teach her more. And so, you know, our plans kind of try and push her along, but oh, no, that's fine. We're connected. But thank you.
I have no idea how.
When you spoke the poem of the palm frond, it was so realistic.
Oh, which, sorry?
Palm frond.
The palm fronds poem. Yeah.
So realistic. And then we went to a sad one about Dhillon. Why do you do it? Is it just I mean, I'm sure you've seen a lot of life and death through practice and the profession.
Right, I'll just go back to. So it's essentially the question is palm frond death, and how does it all happen here?
Margaritas.
Margarita. It's again, you know, there is a trigger. If you're kind of in a point in your life when you want to do this, and there is all that a reservoir of stuff going on, and then you reached a ripe old age, or whatever ripe old age I've reached, there is stuff there, and then certain things trigger. The funeral was actually a real funeral, and I mean, unfortunately, I've attended many, but this is what you actually see and you feel with it, and it comes in words. The palm frond, again, it's like so many folks have said, the invisible hands. Is it the divine force of nature or God bringing the palm frond that has probably died and detached and gone, and yet it meets more violence. So to me, there is a collection of violence and death and beauty and all that coming, which just needs to be put into words. So that's happened sometimes in the car, sometimes in the garden, anywhere. Yes, thank you so much. Thank you.
Like Leonardo da Vinci, you showed us the art and science and the science and art. And I appreciate that so much.
Thank you.
Because so much as a teacher, I have students that wanted to be an oncologist or a dentist because of the money. And to see people that have the empathy and the depth that you have also is good to know.
Thank you. Thank you. I don't know if you heard that, but very modestly, I'll just mention the keyword Da Vinci. So, no, that's very sweet of you, and thank you for appreciating it. Enjoyed that. Thank you. Kristen, you are too silent, my dear. Any questions from this end? This is kind of tilting a little towards this side. And you never this silent, girl.
Me? No, I just love the theatrics of it all. I love the emotion. I love the feeling from all the artists, the pianists, and you. Thank you.
Thank you. That's the Anne I know. Thank you. So if you have any other questions or want to discuss the art and everything is here. Oh, yes, sorry. I thought you were part of the mask. I'm sorry, speaker.
The question was how do we keep such group cohesion? Did we meet up? What was the process of bringing it together? You want to start?
Yeah, I'll start. Okay, usually I'm a kind of a loner at times, but you're right, putting people together is maybe okay, but keeping them together, working in the same direction is way more difficult. So knowing everybody, I wasn't dreading it, but the organization was scaring me completely to distraction. And then Priya came on the scene. And Priya says, I love doing this kind of thing. And that was like wonderful. But no, I mean, we all wanted to work together, and it just turned out really nice, and we didn't come to fisticuffs or anything.
Just so you know, like how cohesive the team is, how closely we've worked together. I've known Priya for 2 hours now.
We're very close.
We're so close and bonded in that sense. So it just shows how quickly connections can be made through collective vision. Also, the same goes for Avika. I've just met her too. Sweet young lady and great potential. But like, it's funny. I, as as performer, I wanted us to have all a bunch of rehearsals together. And so for me, it was terrifying to put this together because I'm a solo pianist, so usually it's just me, But what was really wonderful to see was that Harki, and I think Harki's particular talent, seems to be bringing together people from different backgrounds and giving them a collective vision, giving us a voice and a place. So thank you so much, Harki, for doing that.
I just want to add that one thing that really helped us work together was technology. And I know a lot of people are always saying, you young kids and your technology. But in the end, that really helped us all. Emails were just flying into my phone, buzz, 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 all the time. And at home, my dad was always saying, hey, did you get that email? And I was like, you have an email? So it was all very exciting.
So you guys want to add anything? Anybody else? Okay, I think that's great. So, folks, the art and the books, and it's all for a good cause. Like I said, remember, leave the world outside and open your wallets. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was great.